Kymmie took a break from hula hooping and did some work. Happy 2019 from all of us here at VINwiki. 2018 was an amazing year. We can't thank you guys enough for watching and giving us the opportunity to use this platform to share our best car stories and talk about the cars that we love. Last year in 2018, we added more than 100,000 new users to our VINwiki app. We also got more than 400,000 new subscribers here to the VINwiki YouTube channel and got more than 100 million views. That's over 650 million minutes watched. So last year, you guys spent more than 1,200 years watching VINwiki car stories, and we're so humbled at the opportunity that we've been given here, and we're certainly going to keep it going. But I wanted to take a moment today and talk a little bit about some of the interesting things that we learned through the YouTube channel and the VINwiki app over the last year. And even though the Indianapolis Police, the Grand Tour, Hell's Angels, and Ferrari all asked us to take some of the videos down, we've really enjoyed the chance to kind of immortalize some of these stories and make them available for people to enjoy for years to come. We found out this year that Kymmie took a break from hula hooping and did some work. Unfortunately, that profession continues to be frowned upon, and she found herself with a new 10-year sentence. So even though there have been some requests for her to come by and tell her side of the story, she's had to trade in the basketball net dress for a new jumpsuit, and she's going to be indisposed for a good little while. I also found out that the Ruf RT12 that I owned is for sale again out in Texas, and they asked us to delist that video, although it's still available through our playlist. But since I've owned it, apparently it's been completely gone through. It now makes as much horsepower as it was always supposed to, and the suspension's been revised so that it now goes straight in a fairly safe way. So I certainly wish them the best, and I'm sure at this point it'd be a very good car to own. One of our YouTube viewers found the Ford Mondeo and posted it with its VIN to the VINwiki app. Dustin Warless and Dotto had used that Mondeo to drive across Europe in the Cannonball run event they did several years ago, and it pretty much destroyed it, but it's got a new motor and apparently has become a fairly reliable car. And Dustin was able to buy the car in an eBay auction and shipped it to Canada, where he can register it until it becomes 25 years old. So he's going to have it to some car shows this summer, and it's exciting to have such a terrible piece of garbage car back in the Techademics and the VINwiki family. We certainly learned last year that the VINwiki audience is an extremely powerful internet force. You guys downgraded the reputation of Wheels of Fortune 2.0 fairly drastically, and even though Derek Barnes was for a while affiliated with them, he is no longer with them apparently, and they've made that clear in their new name on Google listings. Apparently, many of you also called Mr. Barnes, and he was not too pleased about that. In fact, he sent me a $100,000 demand letter for defamation from making the video. I had a lawyer respond that we haven't heard anything back, so I think I'm going to be safe there. But the car is running great, and my wife continues to enjoy it. Over the last year, through the VINwiki app, I discovered a lot of interesting things about my personal cars. The orange LP640 Roadster is still going strong in Nebraska. The red LP640 Coupe I had became a rental car, was crashed and totaled, and has been rebuilt and is now frequenting some car shows. The green LP640 sold a couple times last year and continues to bring record-setting prices each time. The gray gated manual LP640 that I sold has since been wrapped matte blue, has gigantic aftermarket wheels and a fire-shooting exhaust, and apparently is still racking up the miles in the Pacific Northwest. The red manual 360 Spider I had for supercar rentals is for sale again in Chicago, and although I'm very interested in bringing it back into the fold, my shrewd negotiations have not succeeded just yet. We were contacted by a previous owner of the Buick Roadmaster who sold it to John Ficarra to use in the 2904. During that drive, he was stopped and searched twice by drug dogs, but that previous owner has assured us that they were not marijuana users, so I guess those arrived in some other way. Through the VINwiki app, we found out that Allen Iverson's Lamborghini is being rebuilt. We also found out that every limited production Ferrari number seems to be a conservative estimate, but we continue to discover just new and fascinating things as people post things to the app every single day. Ever since we posted Doug Tabbitt's exotic car shipping nightmares video, and I posted a video on my own exotic car shipping woes, I've been contacted by a lot of truck drivers explaining how they are somehow the most amazing thing that's ever happened to the exotic car transport world. And the most entertaining award certainly goes to someone who sent me a picture just a couple of weeks ago with their 3-car wedge trailer loaded up with 3 very new, very expensive exotic cars, easily worth over $1 million. So obviously my first question to him was, how much cargo insurance do you carry for physical damage? And his answer was $250,000. So the tricks have certainly not changed in the industry. We've learned that C7 Corvette Z06 owners are still in some denial about the possibility that their overheating issues and limp mode problems can be triggered on road driving rather than just at the track, and even though Joseph explained very clearly that it can happen in his story. Also, I learn every single day that our viewers are not that interested in exotic cars that are stolen being found, and certainly not interested in drug dealers being sent to jail. So I guess apologies for that. But since we posted the second found Lamborghini video, I've been contacted by over a dozen exotic car rental companies with pretty much the same tune. Apparently, there is an epidemic of people using fake IDs and legitimate insurance policies to rent cars in other states and bring them to Atlanta where they disappear. I've heard of more than a dozen interesting cars, I think 3 458s, 2 other Huracans, another R8, several S-Classes, a Bentley GT, a Wraith, a whole bunch of crazy cars have been rented from out of state and disappeared into Atlanta, either having the VIN switched or being wrapped. So various law enforcement agencies are now working to try to figure out how to stop that. In 2018, the Bitcoin Lamborghini became a good deal again, even though at one point it cost Peter more than $1 million to have bought this Huracan at the time that he did using Bitcoin. As the values have dropped a good bit, it's now costing about 150 grand. So good move, Peter, and I guess it's not always the best advice to hold that Bitcoin. The lawsuit pertaining to the Bentley Arnage that I tried to buy on Craigslist several years ago has since been dropped, and we've now passed the window where someone could claim damages for something that happened back then, so it appears that I'm not going to enjoy the privilege of getting to testify in that case. I think it would have been an entertaining thing. In 2018, we continued to learn that cannonballing is very hard, but we also learned that it's very hard to get people sometimes to enjoy cannonballing stories. They don't tend to do nearly as well as our exotic car tales or rabbit stories of shrewd negotiation, but we're going to keep bringing them to you anyway because it's obviously something that's very near and dear to my heart. But 2018 was a very entertaining year for all things cannonball. In fact, the 2018 C2C Express was the largest competitive run across the country that's happened since 1983. We also saw the second fastest cross-country time improved twice. And on Christmas Day, 3 of our VINwiki veteran storytellers did something pretty fantastic. We're going to have to wait a little while for some time to lapse before we can talk about it, but it was a phenomenally impressive feat. In telling the story about the most insane Lamborghini test drive ever, I learned that a friend of mine has since bought that car as a used car from another dealer across the country, so it's still doing well and apparently not worse for wear. I learned that even if you get your 126 and a 60 ticket reduced to 11 over, it can still give you some problems. When I had to get new insurance because Allstate wouldn't insure the S65, that and a small ticket I got in Pennsylvania on the Bluesmobile cross-country run, both came back to haunt me a little bit, but fortunately Haggerty came to the rescue. But I definitely learned that I should have known about the Off the Record app a whole lot sooner. It's helped a lot of our storytellers with similar problems since then, and I think it's going to have to help the Mexican Stig out pretty soon. Even 20 years later, 2018 confirmed that eBay is still not hip to the rabbit habit. He still tries to set up an account every once in a while to make sure that's the case. But speaking of people who are still up to their old ways, we learned that some of Hoovie's co-workers are still up to the same antics. One of the guys he used to work with has since convinced the receptionist to get his name tattooed on the back of her neck, something his wife still doesn't know about. So some people never seem to change. And despite Carfax's refusal to change its tune on the total loss record on the history of my Porsche 993, I got a shiny and clean Georgia title, and I'm actually trying to sell that car now, so we'll have to see what comes next, but it certainly did not get any brands. 2018 was an amazing year here at VINwiki, and we truly cannot thank you all enough for coming along on the ride and for watching. We've enjoyed sharing the stories and we'll continue to do so. One thing we also did last year is we found Tavarish a new car. He's going to announce it soon, and in fact it's not something that Hoovie or any other YouTubers have caught on fire. It's something that someone far more famous than any of us could ever dream to be beat on pretty hard. So I'm sure you'll all enjoy watching that car become much nicer as he tends to do with them. But again, thank you so much for being a part of the VINwiki family. Thanks for watching the videos, thanks for using our app, and thanks for coming along as we change the way we look at automotive history. VINwiki is proud to be partnering with Mobile App Hero. We're working with them to bring updates to our mobile and web-based app. So stay tuned to their social media and ours and keep telling the stories of all the cars you love.